Hey guys, my name's Oscar Mikey, and today I want to talk to you about a game that's very early in development. A couple of weeks ago on February 14th, a devblog video was posted to YouTube by a man who's making a game called Road to Vostok. In this devblog video, he's basically pitching the game and telling us about his goals, his ideas and strategies for the game. And I want to go through it with you today because it got me really excited and really interested in this game that this guy is building. So like I said, it's called Road to Vostok. I do recommend that you guys check this video out if you're into games like Escape from Tarkov and DayZ. Those are two of many games he says that are inspiration for this game that he's making right now. Anyway, yeah, he did say that he was inspired to make this game by DayZ, the Stalker games, and RuneScape, and he's kind of pulling elements from all those games and mashing them together to make Road to Vostok. His goal for it is to be a single-player hardcore survival FPS with an emphasis on immersion. He's going for kind of a authentic, abandoned, post-apocalyptic feeling, and it's very important for him that all the in-game locations are based on real-life locations. In the video, he details some locations that he's personally visited and taken photos of, and then he goes over the technical process of taking those photos and building in-game locations and assets based on those photos. It looks like a really interesting process. I'm not a game developer, but I think what he's doing here is really interesting, and how he's going about building this game is really interesting. He talks a lot about tools that he's built for himself to help him with the game development, using tools like procedural environmental building, fog generation, water reflections, all that kind of technical stuff he goes over. But the primary core concept for the game itself is that it'll be divided into three kind of zones. They're going to be called Area 5, which is kind of the starter zone, the border zone, and Vostok. Area 5 is going to be kind of a low-risk starter zone. The border zone is going to be a transition zone, and Vostok is going to be the hardcore, kind of very dangerous and high-risk zone where all the good loot is. Each zone is going to be made up of several maps for players to travel between and explore. They're going to be connected by transition points, so the player can jump into a map, kill some enemies, loot some things, and then they can go to specific points on that map to transition to the next map. Kind of a pseudo open world type of thing where you can just move from one map to the other. These transition points can be things like roads, tunnels, underground passages, or anything like that. Any kind of path or passage that could lead out of the area. Every map is going to have a difficulty rating, and the closer you get to Vostok, the harder the maps are going to get, so the more difficult the enemies. The border zone in between Area 5 and Vostok is going to be kind of a transitioning point into Vostok. It's going to be divided up into different crossing points. So I'm guessing these are going to be like their own kind of mini maps, and you have to get through them in order to get to Vostok. These are all going to have their kind of own difficulty levels too. The plan is to have different kind of in-game mechanics associated with each map, and they could potentially be heavily guarded or abandoned. And it's completely up to you which one you want to take to get into Vostok. While you're playing around in Area 5, in all of its maps, you will have access to various shelters where you can rest and store your loot. They're going to vary in aesthetic and size and customizability. So what he means by this is like one hideout could be a house, and then another hideout could be like a storm drain or like an underground pipe or something like that. And he briefly mentions customizability, so I'm hoping that means we can get in and customize shelters kind of like the hideout in Escape from Tarkov. If you happen to die in Area 5, you're going to lose everything that you have on your character, but everything inside of your shelters stays safe. So you can spawn back in and you'll still have all that stuff for you to access and take back out into the world with you. In Vostok, however, you only have one shelter, and its location is randomized every time you go in, it looks like. If you die in Vostok, you're going to lose everything on your character and everything in your stash. So that's the high-risk component to Vostok. That's the basic core gameplay loop that he goes over in the video. He also goes over his priorities in terms of game mechanics. Movement, shooting, looting, and enemy AI are at the top of the list as far as that goes. And I kind of agree with that. Those are all the main building blocks for a great FPS. Secondary priorities for game mechanics include things like medical items, trading and crafting, survival, the shelters themselves, questing, events, and challenges. The game is still in a very early state, but he does give a demonstration of his priority 1 game mechanics. A couple of things I noticed, a couple of important points are there's going to be an inertia-based movement system, which was a feature that was only recently implemented in Escape from Tarkov. There's also going to be a crisis-style in-game weapon customization feature. And then another small detail I noticed is that there's going to be proper kind of depth rendering scopes. So when you look through the scope, the picture in the scope is magnified, but everything around you in your peripheral vision stays the same. There are lots of other small details, but that's really the meat and potatoes of the video. At the end, he goes over his roadmap. He's planning on releasing a public demo in Q3 of 2022, another public demo in Q3 of 2023 with more maps, and then early access and the full release are TBA. I was really impressed by this video. This guy seems to have a very clear vision of what he wants this game to be, and right now he's at a great starting point to build off of. He's building himself some great tools so that he can work efficiently. As far as the game itself, I really like the tone and the direction he's going with it. It looks like basically if Escape from Tarkov was single player, which I actually really like the idea of. Keep an eye on this one, guys. This one looks very promising. I'm going to leave a link to the dev blog video in the description below, as well as a link to his website, which you can check out. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Check out Road to Vostok. It looks really cool, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.